welcome to the 23rd episode of Recluse Horror. This is a daily horror movie review podcast. Just a little background on the project. Back on my birthday in April, I decided I wanted to watch and review a horror movie every single day. I have done so for the past 290 days, although only the last 23 have been podcasts. Each episode, I talk about 2 horror movies, one I watched that very night, and another which I've reviewed previously in text. I just go over what impressions I have left and any thoughts I have on it, aided by the text review. So with me again today is Sam.
Hey.
And so I had a long day today, and I woke up too early and then ended up taking a nap. So I didn't leave me very much time to watch a horror movie. So we watched a short film called Don't Move from 2013. Sam, what did you think about Don't Move from 2013?
I enjoyed it enough.
Yeah. I think it's definitely on the top half of the short films that I've seen. Now this one is from Bloody Cuts. Bloody Cuts. I don't know, that's for some reason I'm saying it weird. But it's a film production company. I don't know if they're still doing stuff, but they did a number, like an anthology of horror shorts. And this is one of them. I don't believe that they're really strongly related, but there might be some correlation between them. I've only seen just this one. So the premise of Don't Move essentially is that 6 friends decide to use a Ouija board because they're, I don't know, 10-year-olds.
They're having a weird wine and Ouija board party.
Yeah.
Which looks cool, I guess. I don't know how cool it actually is. It looks cool in the movie.
Yeah. I think, they looked like they were in their 30s, but I'm just saying.
So what? Shut up.
So they have a Ouija board party and a horror movie ensues because...
Ouija boards.
Because Ouija boards. Before we get into anything else, I just have to say how much I fucking hate the trope of a Ouija board doing any fucking thing ever. I think it's so stupid, especially when they use, the board in this, and mind you, this is a short film, I understand budget and stuff, but this is one of those stupid cardboard ones. This isn't even, a wooden something. Now, I don't mind the idea of talking boards in general. There are a number of, if you didn't know, a Ouija board is just one of many different boards. They're called talking boards, that have been around for hundreds of years, longer than that possibly, but I think it's only the last 400 or 500 years. Not well versed in the history. But, they do essentially approximations of the same thing. But I mean, if you're gonna do something like a Ouija one, why don't you use one of these old ancient, how hard is it to carve some wood and, or get an actual one. You can still find them in antique shops and stuff, different talking boards that aren't the Ouija brand. But Ouija boards are lame. They're put out by Milton Bradley. That is not a horror thing.
I'm gonna go the complete opposite way with this one. I think it's amazing that you go out to Toys R Us, buy a Hasbro product.
I thought it was Milton Bradley.
Whatever. I'm pretty sure it's Hasbro.
Okay.
Only time will tell. Go back home.
Mm-hmm.
Summon a demon. just that. It's just that easy. That accessible. People are busy. People gotta get home, take naps. They don't have all this time to make Ouija boards.
That's relatable.
You just run out of Toys R Us, grab one. Next thing you know, you're summoning demons to kill all your friends at your wine party. Or whatever they were doing.
Your wine and lame board games party.
Yeah. Sounds amazing. I'm going the exact opposite way. Any household items that could summon demons, I'm super bad at. Any sort of haunted televisions, haunted video games, very common.
Yeah.
Haunted VHSs, people like to haunt VHSs these days.
They do.
I'm about it. Fuck this ancient shit. Fuck all this old shit. I want some new stuff to be haunted.
Oh man.
I want to see some haunted, flash drives. Or like a haunted tablet, you know? Maybe like a haunted hoverboard. How amazing would that movie be?
Haunted fidget spinner.
Yeah, exactly. See? You don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
but
man.
I'm used to that.
Yeah, alright. Well, I do understand the appeal on that level, I guess. I just know the only time I ever used an actual Ouija board, I was over at a friend's house I didn't really know very well. It was somebody that I had, like, only talked to at school mostly. Her name was Jackie. And she had a Ouija board, and I had never used one, so I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, yeah, let's play with the Ouija board. And she brings out the thing, and it's, like, in the box, like, you know, like a Monopoly box or something, and I'm like, the Ouija board's come in this? I'm a little bit hesitant about it, and then she puts the board down or whatever, and it's got a fold, it's got a crease in it, and so you can't use it. You can't legitimately use it to do anything. We played with that thing for, like, 2 minutes, and then, like, I can't remember which one of us tried to fake out the other one, but it was so obvious, because, like, there's a bump in it. So you have to push it over it. There's no, you know, there's that whole idea that, like, people are using micro movements, muscle movements, you know, accidentally to cause the thing to move. I have no idea whether or not that's true or not, or if everybody just has some dick with their hand on it. But, like, regardless, you know, you can't summon a demon with a board, or even a ghost with a board with a crease in it. When what is it called? A planchette?
All right, I'm firing back on this one.
Okay.
We're not talking about the movie at all, apparently.
No.
But I'm firing back. The only experience I really have with using, not just seeing Ouija boards, is my older cousins, like probably like 5 years older than me, got together. And it was just like a Hasbro one, and they were playing with it, like in somebody's room. And my grandma comes bursting in, pulling everybody's hair and hitting them in the face with a shoe, telling them not to mess with devil shit, and dragging them all out of the room and throwing the Ouija board in the trash because it's the devil's work. And I was like, Ouija boards are cool. You don't fuck with them.
That would make me think it was cool.
The mystique, the group ever since. So,
is that your evil grandmother or your other one?
I only have evil grandmothers.
Okay, but...
The more evil one.
Okay,
is.
it was. Alright, I knew it.
So, you know, I've never gotten enough wine in me to play with the Ouija board because I know the price you pay might be high, and that's kind of what this movie was about.
Thank you for bringing it around to the movie.
Yeah, I'm good like that. That's why I'm here. That's what I get paid for.
Yeah, that's definitely what I'm paying you for. All this many monies.
Yeah, to bring it around to actually talking about this movie.
So yeah, I mean, regardless of that, I honestly, like I said, I thought this was pretty good. The acting was fine. You know, the filming was good. The lighting was pretty good. The effects were awesome, I thought.
Yeah, they were very good, especially
like all of them, even the CG ones.
For, you know, semi-low budget.
Mm-hmm. From 5 years ago, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, a low budget production using CG in a manner that, like, I mean, you can tell that it isn't real. You can see that it's CG.
They're also using
but it doesn't matter.
Practical.
Yeah, and they are using the biggest brunt of it is practical. And actually, speaking of the practical effects here, again, awesome practical effects, which makes sense because apparently, so the director of this movie is a person named Anthony Melton. He's pretty much only done short films, and I actually know a couple of them. I haven't seen them, but I know these films. But his favorite horror film is Hellraiser, and the effects in this movie were designed and created by Cliff Wallace, who worked on the original Hellraiser, which is kind of awesome. But saying that doesn't it make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, the effects were pretty good. It's short and sweet. There's really one problem other than the Ouija board thing, which I just will never get over. Which is that it seems like they might have broken their rules at the end of right at the end.
It's very unclear what the rules are.
It is a bit.
And that's the problem. You don't know if they broke them, which would be bad too.
Yeah.
But also you have no idea,
yeah.
Who's making, there's obviously rules set.
Uh-huh.
And there's like, who's making these rules? Why is it like this? And it never comes, and you just feel like everybody's just doing stuff.
Right. Yeah.
When it could have been very set and very finite so that it felt really fulfilling when someone broke a rule or followed the rule or were clever even. But that didn't happen. Yeah,
that didn't happen. Well, and it's funny because it seems like a pretty simple set of rules that they have here. I mean, it's the most that they have one rule, essentially.
Well, we don't know, but it feels like it's a freeze tag rule.
Yeah.
Maybe a little Tremors Jurassic Park T-Rex rule.
T-Rex rule a little bit, yeah. But it's hard to know, like, what the subtlety is there on those rules because, you know...
The movie's so short, they don't say.
Yeah, they don't specifically say. The only rule that they say is don't move. And that can be interpreted in any number of different ways, like...
Yeah, because they don't not move.
Like, no, they don't
everybody
not
moves.
Everybody moves. They talk, they turn their heads.
Yeah, exactly. They're moving. They'd be out in freeze tag for most of this stuff.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
So...
They fell foul of the T-Rex rule, I think, too.
No, the T-Rexes aren't good.
They are when they get those arms. When they get those claw arms... They're unstoppable.
All right. All right.
So, yeah. Did you have anything else that you wanted to say about this?
No, I liked it a lot for what it was. It felt like the last 15 minutes of a horror movie where it concludes.
Yeah.
And I like that because there's not just like a bunch of movie.
Yeah.
It's like that's just setting it up to something happening finally.
Yeah.
This is just the part where stuff happens.
Yeah.
And I could appreciate that for what it is. I get really bored with filler if it's not. Or, stuff that can be considered filler or B-roll.
Yeah.
If it really does set the mood and really does bring the movie, elevate the movie.
Yeah.
That's one thing. But a lot of movies don't do that, and that really bores me.
Yeah, and they're just filling a half an hour, 45 minutes of time.
Trying to make a movie when really they only have 15 minutes to do anything.
And then they just cut and pasted the whole beginning of another movie onto it.
Yeah.
I kind of appreciated that. Sometimes I dislike that because it feels like...
it's rushed and doesn't explain anything.
But this one explained plenty. They never said anything about that they summoned it with the Ouija board. They just showed the Ouija board and showed some creepy stuff, and you're like, okay, I get this.
Yeah.
They did a very good job of visual storytelling as much as, needs to happen. And, I don't know, just generally... The questions there aren't necessary, any questions that you have at the end, they could expand it and do a second one or explain more about, it just feels like anything else would be, sort of unnecessary, like you said. Again, usually, sometimes the ones that are just the ending part, if they don't give you enough, are what is this thing? Where did it come from? Why does it exist? Blah, blah, blah. Right. But you don't really have any of those questions, I feel like. In this one, I feel like they gave you just enough to be okay, this is a satisfying part of the horror movie, and that's what we're going to show you.
Yeah.
It is sort of a waste that these effects only got used on probably this one movie, though, to me personally.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I don't know if it would be considered a waste, but...
I mean, not a waste. I don't actually mean that it was a waste, but it would be nice to be able to see that in something else, because it's still good. The effects are still good, and much of the practical effects are salvageable for something else.
Oh, right. I kind of know what you mean. Yeah, in a way.
The other thing I wanted to talk about is the director of this, like I said, his name is Anthony Melton. He, like I said, he's done only pretty much short films, but he's done one. I keep passing this one. Basically, the only thing that comes up on my YouTube suggested videos now is either game theory videos or Crypt TV videos, and he has done some stuff with Crypt TV recently, including The Birch, which I actually think he might have done separately, and they acquired that, is what it looks like from looking at his page. I'm not positive whether that's true, but remember we were talking about whether they acquire stuff, if they acquire short films.
Right.
He also did another short that I'm interested in called The Cabinet in the Woods. Cabinet in the Woods, okay. And now I have to see
it. It looks like a parody.
Cabin
in the Woods.
But not necessarily funny, though. I don't know.
I don't know. That's what...
Yeah.
The poster looks like the poster from Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah, it does. So I don't know. And So yeah, he's still doing stuff, but he's stuck with shorts, so he must really like the format. Don't Move appears to have been his first one, at least the first one listed. But that was back in 2013, and as far as 2017, he's still doing short films and exclusively short films. So, yeah, I guess that's really all. Who would you suggest this for? Hey. There's an actor in this, Ian White. I don't even remember who that was. Yeah.
He's the monster.
Oh, okay.
He's done a lot of monster work. He plays monsters.
That's awesome.
He's Scar and AVP.
Alien versus Predator.
AVP, everybody knows AVP. That's no reason. He's one of the Predators in Alien versus Predator Requiem.
Mm-hmm.
He's in Dragon Ball Evolution as the Zaru.
Oh dear.
I didn't see it, so I don't know. I know what an Zaru is.
That's the live-action American adaptation of Dragon Ball Z that everybody friggin' hated. That had James Marsters as poor Piccolo. I feel bad for everybody. Poor Piccolo. I feel bad for everybody in that situation.
He's one of the engineers in Prometheus.
Oh yeah.
He was in Star Wars. I don't know this character.
Force Awakens. Bolly Prindle?
Yeah, I know. I could look it up, but I'm sure it'll come up. Is it Star Wars? And some other... He was in Game of Thrones as a bunch of characters.
Yeah. Oh, he plays Gregor Clegane. Okay. That's sort of a big part.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyways, I figured I'd mention it. That he's done all this monster work. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. It must be miserable, but it's probably also fun.
Yeah. He gets to be a monster.
Yeah.
Sounds cool to me.
Yeah, but those suits are always terrible.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of a shrinking market, sadly. Sadly, very sadly. Yeah, so if you're interested in seeing this, it's available for free on YouTube and legally on YouTube from the Bloody Cuts YouTube page. I do suggest you check them out, because if their other work is like this one, I think there's probably plenty there that's awesome. Also, that one, The Birch, that I was talking about sounds like it might be, like, it's very, very short. I think that one's, like, under 5 minutes. And I just keep passing it because I don't want to watch those without reviewing them, and I don't want to review them all the time. Mm-hmm. But The Birch is the one that, like, I keep seeing that I kind of want to see from Crypt TV specifically, so. Yeah. I would suggest this anybody who's interested in short films, anybody who,
interested in horror.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a little gory.
Yeah, it is.
So if you're into more gore stuff, like, and it's not super gory.
It's not super gory, no, but it's definitely, is on the gory side, I guess. Also, anyone who's interested in seeing the effects in this movie, the effects are really cool.
Yeah.
And it does look Hellraiser-y without looking like a complete ripoff. The sound design was good in this too. I forgot to mention. The sound design was really good. The music and the sound effects. There were a couple that were like, I felt like I'm pretty sure they were stock sound effects, but they were buried in like 5 other sound effects, like, that were happening at the same time. So it was, it's not really a big deal.
Speaking of, I want to be one of those bands in a horror movie that they just play like a loud, annoying, like, band to like change the atmosphere of the horror movie for a second.
Yeah.
So
to
I'm
scare
already
off something.
Yeah. So I'm already in loud, annoying bands. I just need to be in a horror movie where that happens.
That checks out. He is in a lot of loud, annoying bands. Many.
So, like,
yeah,
it's just something I figured out watching this movie.
So,
I was like, wow, I want to be one of those terrible bands that they play to annoy people in a movie.
So, if anybody is in the film industry and looking for somebody to make a cheap, really annoying song, Sam can probably do it in under 24 hours.
Isn't it funny how they do that in horror movies?
Yeah. It's not just horror movies, but yeah, definitely in horror movies, yeah. Okay, so that's our very long-winded review.
Yeah, we talked longer about it.
About Ouija? Yeah.
No.
Yes. Oh, much longer than the movie. Yeah, the movie is what, 13 minutes?
Yeah, it's like 14 minutes.
Yeah. So that's our review of Don't Move from 2013. I couldn't remember the year. Okay, so the next movie we're going to talk about is not one of my favorites. This is one that Sam watched with me. I reviewed back on day 28 of this whole project, and it is still, to this day, the one that has made me the most angry. I don't know if it's the worst one I've seen. I don't know if it's the most whatever about it, but it is the one that has made me the most angry. Even thinking about this movie still makes me so angry. It's called Strange Blood from 2015.
We're doing one of your angry reviews, huh?
Angry reviews. I hate this movie.
I don't even need to be here for this one. I'll see you on the next one. This is me signing off.
So, this movie is entirely insufferable. When I did this review, usually the format of my text reviews was, my first paragraph would be about how well I liked it without talking about any of the details, kind of like we usually do on this. And then my second paragraph would be going over the synopsis of the story. I was so thrown off by everything that it actually didn't make it... I didn't even synopsize this until the fourth paragraph because I was so pissed off by this movie. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in and do that now. So basically, the premise is that some asshat of a scientist who's also a thief thinks he's come up with a method for curing all disease by using retroviruses to rewrite parts of the human genome. I think it was really hard to pay attention to the pseudoscience babble when there were people's junk hanging on the wall behind them. So, most of the movie takes place, or not most of it, the beginning of the movie all takes place, in this closet that has been outfitted to look like a laboratory, barely. Do you remember that?
It's like a storage unit.
It might have been a storage unit, but it was very small. It looked to me like it was a supply closet, complete with the shelves and everything. But there are these two x-rays that are hanging on this light box in the back, and one of the x-rays is hanging sideways because it's too large to actually fit on the light box that they have set up for them. So it really draws your eye. But they're also... The x-rays that are there are of human genitalia. It's like somebody's penis and somebody's vagina are up there. You can see you can vaguely make out the shape. And it's like, why on earth would you use that? It doesn't make any sense. It's not symbolic for any bullshit in the movie. Or if it is, it's symbolic of, people have sex, which is not symbolism. So, anyway, it's a terrible, terrible movie. Sam, how did you feel about this movie? Because I haven't even asked you, because I was so angry. How did you like this movie, Sam?
I left at the beginning of the review, remember? I hear you babble on about this movie.
Yeah. I don't know.
Nah, just kidding, I did. It was very annoying. I also did not like it, though.
Yeah, it's bad. So they never make any reference to these x-rays for any reason. They don't have any specific reason to have them there. And they never use the light boxes for any actual purpose, within the context of the movie. There's also one shoved sort of to the side that I think might have been an arm, but it's half out of the frame every time they show it, so I wasn't quite sure. But regardless, none of it has any symbolism as far as I can tell. Basically, the best parts of this movie are the parts that they didn't expressly fuck up. There were a couple of things that perhaps showed some promise for a few short moments, but they're completely dashed by the time you get a chance to be too excited about them. So anyway, the doctor steals some stuff that he was working on from his previous employer, which really speaks to his character in the movie. Obviously this goes wrong because this guy doesn't even follow the most basic tenets of working in any field of science. David Hahn was a more careful nuclear physicist than this guy was a biochemist or a geneticist or whatever it was that he was trying to be. It starts with him making a monster, which, not really, I guess it's sort of like a genetic chimera, which he's using to grow the genes that he's trying to manipulate. And this chimera is easily the best looking thing in this movie. It is gorgeous. Right, Sam?
Yeah, you're actually making this movie sound a lot better than it is.
Am I?
Because you have amateur biochemist making a cool looking monster in a broom closet in some sort of laboratory. And that movie sounds amazing. Yeah, with genitalia hung up in the wall. That movie sounds amazing, and I might make it. But
it cannot possibly be worse than this.
It is not good. This movie is bad.
Yeah.
All that cool stuff wasted in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part I think is the worst about
it. Yeah. So the chimera, the like monster thing, it's the best looking thing in the movie. It's the only thing worth watching this movie for, and you don't need to watch it. Just like look up a clip of like the big first couple of scenes of the movie, and you'll get everything out of it that you need to. It is super cool. It was clearly made by somebody who knew what the fuck they were doing, so I don't know what happened. It must have been a favor, or somebody didn't realize what he was getting into when they were like, hey, we want you to make this thing, and didn't realize this movie was like the fucking worst movie on the face of the planet. Or it would be by the time they were done with it. I don't know. So he ends up contaminating himself by, you know, with the chimera because he does absolutely nothing to prevent it. I don't even think he's using gloves to handle the thing. So I don't know. He also just completely fucks up that scene. Like, his acting in that scene is so bad. I mean, to be fair, his acting in the whole movie is bad. But that... What?
No, it's true. It's true.
But in that particular scene, like, he's totally overacting it, and he has no room to, like, blah, blah, and, like, whatever, freak out. Because he's in a fucking supply closet. So, like, I don't know. The whole thing, it looks like a Mad TV sketch almost of somebody like, you know, in the Mad TV sketch, there would be like a dog, like a fake dog, and he'd be like holding it on his neck or something.
Yeah, it's ridiculous bad like that. Yeah, I remember now.
And that's not what's happening, but it's very similar to that. It's the same kind of like completely inaccurate body movements that people just wouldn't be making, and I don't know, it's awful. So about a third or a fourth of the movie is filmed in straight up red lighting. It inhibits the audience from seeing what's going on when they try and show him do something in it, and it gets really irritating really quickly. I don't know why anybody would want to see this, but if you do, like, please keep the lights on so you don't damage your eyes or give yourself a migraine, because it will happen.
I'm gonna go on the opposite of that one again, is I think the best scenes are the scenes in the red light. They look the best. Which is not saying a lot.
Yeah.
But it does make it look more like a movie.
Yeah.
Like they accidentally were able to light things right because the red light would hinder stuff.
Right. So you wouldn't get too good of a look at any of the shitty...
Here, I'll show you a picture. Here's kind of what the movie looked like.
Right, yeah. The rest of the movie.
And then here's a scene in the red light.
Yeah. All right. I get what you're saying with that. It saturated
the colors.
Yeah.
And to make everything look like a TV movie.
Yeah.
It made it feel, like, deeper and darker. But yes, they are in the red light forever.
Well, I mean, the rest of the lighting in the movie is definitely not any better. But at least it doesn't, physically damage anybody. Like, that's my thing.
I'm saying if your movie can physically damage people, it's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's just me. All right?
Yeah. So the acting in the movie, obviously, as we've talked about, is very spotty. The doctor has no range at all, which this movie asks so much of him. This is basically his fucking movie. The assistant, whom I have not yet mentioned, his lab assistant, I think she was kind of better, but she's a lamp. I know I've used this term before, but, you know...
Yeah, she's given nothing, and I do remember her being better. Yeah. I do remember her seeming like a person in a movie.
Yeah.
No, seeming like a person that's in a movie.
Yeah, seeming like a person that's in a movie.
The main actor, he seems like a person that is acting in a movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, very obvious.
Mm-hmm. And she definitely has some rough spots, too, when it starts to get, like... She has this one monologue that, like... I'll get into that later. But anyway, She's a lamp. So if you're not familiar with that term, if you didn't hear me talk about it before, in literary terms, basically, if you can take a character in a story and replace it with a lamp without drastically altering the way that the story progresses in any way, then you've written a lamp. It's a bad, wooden, terribly written character. They're usually female, but not always. And her acting isn't great, but it's a lot better than his, for
She's
sure.
basically there so he's not talking to himself.
Yeah, she's completely at the mercy of plot convenience in this movie.
And it might have been a more interesting movie if he was talking to himself.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Honestly, I thought, like, as far as the cast and, you know, the filmmakers were concerned, I thought she was the only one who potentially has a career. She definitely has, like, some work that needs to be done. Like, she needs to, you know, work on it. But anybody else involved with this movie, with the exception of the team responsible for the Chimera, are, like, they should just be banned from any filmmaking. They shouldn't be allowed to own a camera, and maybe not a TV.
Are we talking about the cast now?
Yeah, did you want to talk? Go ahead.
I most of the cast are, you know, are people who are in just really small things.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not the cast I'm talking about, it's the crew.
Mm-hmm.
There's this guy,
Perry Reginald Teo? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, the writer?
He's written and directed a few things. All of them look just terrible. He's directed, like, full movies.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing you would really know. B movies. Maybe, I think The Curse of Sleeping Beauty, I think that's on Netflix right now.
Oh, that is on Netflix, yeah. I haven't seen it.
Blah, blah. He did this other thing, the Gene Generator. Biling is in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was just weird.
I want to see that. I love Biling.
Okay, moving on. He produced, he's also a producer. He produced, like, 2 movies or a few movies. No, like all his movies and a couple others.
Yeah.
He produced, Tekken, 2, Kazuya's Revenge. So there's that.
Yeah. Didn't you watch that?
No, I've never seen it. But I actually don't care about any of that.
Mm-hmm.
But really, I just wanted to point out how ridiculous this guy looks.
Oh, man.
He's like this guy who, like, has, like, a patent leather cowboy hat and, like...
Isn't he Asian?
Weird. Yeah, he is Asian.
He's an Asian cowboy.
He has a Jim Morrison tattoo on his shoulder.
I did not see
that.
Oh, come on. He was hot in 2003.
He looks like he belongs in the Matrix, but, like, not as good Matrix.
He's a goth cowboy Asian
Doors fan. Yeah.
Doors fan. Definitely on Vampire Freaks. So go ahead and look him up on Vampire Freaks.
His cowboy hat has skulls all over it.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, that doesn't have anything to do with anything.
He's great. I love his character design. He should have done the character design in this movie.
So we'll be keeping an eye on him, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
The podcast is very interested in the career of that
guy whose name we've already forgotten. Well, it's pretty easy for me to remember.
I've forgotten the name, but I remember the cowboy hat.
I remember his Vampire Freaks profile picture.
I think I officially have nothing else to say about this movie.
Okay. I still have plenty.
Oh, please
We haven't
don't.
even gotten to my favorite scene yet.
Please don't. Just talk about it.
Okay, so one of my clear favorite moments in this movie is the sex scene. Because, of course, there's a sex scene. So it starts with the lab assistant. Her potential partner just throws himself at her, which she obviously declines for the sake of, like, I don't know, pretending that she's not a plot device, which is just 100% what she is in this movie. Then comes some sensual bloodletting. Definitely not actually sexy, even in a way that
probably
bloodletting...
that cowboy hat guy's idea.
Believe me, you can make bloodletting sensual. I am a fan of vampires.
I didn't say he did it. I said it was his idea. It's like, yo, I'm not
They just bungled it?
or writing it unless there's some blood, some blood stuff. Let's get some blood stuff in there.
So, And then the sex just happens. It just comes out of nowhere. There's no lead up, no explanation, nothing. It happens so fast that I seriously thought that he injected her with something, like, because there's kind of like a moment where he moves funny and you think like he might have, rather than like cutting her or whatever, because he's cutting on the inside of her thighs because ooh, sexy, which should be sexy in the context of the movie, at least slightly, and it's just not. But anyway, so I rewound, and no, he doesn't inject her with anything. And I wasn't even positive that that's what they were doing while I watched the thing until later it's confirmed in dialogue that that's what it was, that he was taking her blood. That's what was happening. So the whole icing on the cake for this is that she's wearing a shirt that says hooker giant across her fucking shirt for the sex scene. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? The character up until this point was basically just trying to get the shitty doctor to keep working on his experiments and, like, putting up with his mood swings and, like, although clearly interested in him romantically, was not really terribly forward or unprofessional with him. In fact, the only reason he realized that she was into him at all is because of this terrible scene. They're, like, in the middle of, do you remember this? They're in the middle of a diner, and, like, some 90-year-old waitress or something comes up and, like, she had to like run off because she forgot about some previous engagement that she had. And like, he goes, you know, the lady goes up to him and is like, hey, where'd your girlfriend go? And of course he responds that, you know, she's not his girlfriend. And the waitress says something to the effect of like, does she know that? Do you remember that at all?
Yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember that they were playing the worst, shittiest knockoff diner music, like, that sounds like a 50s diner, even though it wasn't a 50s diner?
Uh-huh.
It was just like a diner.
Yeah, it was just a diner that had 50s music playing.
Yeah.
Sounds cool to me.
So the whole thing is just like a complete fucking disaster.
I don't think I'm as bothered by the scene as you are, as much as it's just like a corny, dumb scene. Like, you're, like, offended by it, and I like, it's, like, just stupid, corny, predictable, overdone. She's
wearing a hooker shirt. Like, that scene is honestly, like, not the worst. It's been lifted from, like, 50 other things, and it's always dumb. But, like, she's wearing a hooker shirt. I'm pretty sure it's a TJ Hooker shirt, like, so, I mean, it's not literally just saying hooker, but it's clear what they're trying to go for. And it's fucking stupid. It's just absurdly awful to me. The shirt doesn't even match the style of anything that she wears up into that point either. It's like this oversized shirt that says hooker in all caps on the top of it. And all you can clearly make out in that stupid red lighting is the hooker thing. So later on, they try to shoehorn in some bullshit feminist dialogue about like, oh, I can't have done something right, you know, related to the plot because I'm like just your assistant. Or it might have been her literally saying because she's a woman. I really can't remember. But regardless, it's just totally infuriating in a movie where the female love interest is literally wearing a hooker shirt. They're trying to, like, pretend they're pushing some kind of feminist agenda because she can do fucking one thing right in the movie. So, I don't know. Yeah, I hated this movie. There's it's the most bland, stereotypical, like, bullshit that you can possibly come up with. Anytime they can come up with some kind of a cliche or a stereotype to like shoehorn into this movie, that's what goes in rather than any kind of originality. So the music in a lot of the film is like the one in the diner scene. So another scene, the only other scene I particularly remember them using it in is that like they're supposed to be in some like shitty like a shit kicker bar, like a seedy like crappy bar. And they play some really crappy blues rock track that I don't even remember if it has lyrics. It's just supposed to, it's just supposed to make you feel like that bar is, you know, ooh, not a place you want to go to. But it's like clearly a pretty decent looking bar. Do you remember that? It's like clean and it's not, you know, it's not covered in wood or anything like that. And like the clientele is like very unconvincingly.
Not really.
Yeah. So when the doctor goes off the rails and starts losing his shit, what sort of music would you think that they would play?
Post-expressionist jazz.
That would be a much better choice. It's of course royalty-free, bland classical music. So, I don't know. It's not even good. I mean, there's plenty of good royalty-free classical out there, and they just choose some garbage, as I recall. I don't know. I might just be coloring this by my complete hatred for this movie, but I honestly think that the only redeeming quality of this movie is that chimera. It's the only nice looking thing in the entire movie, and I really hope that the person who made that has a long career far away from the creative team of this movie. Did you have anything else that you wanted to say about the movie? Is there anything else? I mean, it's just garbage. The pacing is awful. The lighting is awful. The sound design is awful. Like, was there anything that you liked about this? I can't be, unbiased about this movie.
No, it's not a good movie. No. It's really, most of anything, like, I don't care about most of the stuff you said. Which is usual. I usually don't. It's slow.
Yeah.
It's slow, boring, and cliche.
Mm-hmm.
The only few interesting things are like the chimera, and just some of the like fringe, like science work, but it's handled wrong. Just the idea is cool, and the chimera is cool.
So, personally, I have rarely ever seen a movie that is this bad that doesn't have some sort of enjoyable quality to it. Like you said, I mean, like both of us said, the chimera is awesome. That thing is great. And the pseudoscience behind it, honestly, the reprogramming retroviruses, that actually does have some sort of fake medical, like, actual basis in fact. So that was interesting. More that it was sort of kind of based on some kind of something. But I mean, the movie, it's boring, it's offensive, it's poorly put together, and it's clearly very lazy. Most of the time, if there's a movie that's this bad, I feel like you can kind of laugh to it, but everything made me just so angry. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not even, like, bad funny.
Yeah.
It's not even bad funny. It's just
bad.
Yeah, it's boring.
Yeah.
I think that's my biggest thing about it.
Mm-hmm. It's boring, it's slow, it's monotonous, the lighting is insufferable, like, I don't know. I mean, as far as I know, it's not available on any streaming sites anymore. It was on Netflix for a while, but thankfully, I think it's been taken down. It's awful. It's just awful. Please do not contribute to this movie in any way by buying it or renting it or streaming it through, a service if it does for some reason come back up. Please do not support this movie. It is so infuriating to me, and it is like the worst type of bad horror movie. Anyway, is there anything else that you wanted to say? Is there anybody that you would suggest this movie for?
Nah.
Yeah.
It's pretty much don't watch it.
Yeah. It's not worth your time. Like, it's not just, like, my personal offense that I've taken to this movie, which I definitely have. I won't even deny that I am offended by this movie.
I don't remember how long it is,
mm-hmm.
but it feels twice as long as that.
It does,
So it's hard. Like, I can't, like, the recommend would be like, yo, you want to be, like, really bored at a movie?
Yeah, are you trying to stretch space and time to make your last moments feel longer? If they tell you have 3 hours to live, if you use an hour and a half of this to watch this in the background, it'll feel like 3 hours. Now, I don't know how long it is either, but it does feel twice as long as it is, and it's insufferable. So, yeah, so that's our review of Strange Blood from, I don't even give a shit what year it is. I think it's 2015. I'm not going to bother to look. And that's our show. And now I'm happy again, because I don't have to talk about this movie anymore. Think about it. Yeah, if you enjoyed me ranting about bullshit, or if you enjoyed us talking about Ouija boards for a really long time, and why they're awesome and terrible, then please like, subscribe, rate, review, whatever, on whatever site you found us. You can also reach out to us on social media at Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and probably others. And yeah, I don't know. Is there something else you wanted to talk about? I feel like I don't want to end on that angry of a note. Do you have anything else that you want to talk about?
No.
Do you want to talk about, I don't know, that kitty who came to visit us?
No. He's being stupid.
Yeah, I was being stupid. It was trying to unplug my recorder, so that's not good. She's cute though.
Yeah.
My roommate's cat is cute. That's what I have to say. Yeah, I don't know. thanks for listening and putting up with my screaming. I hope I didn't peak the mic too much. I was trying to keep an eye on it, but I got really livid and started seeing red like I was watching that movie again, so... Yeah. I don't know. Was there anything else? Oh, please share. I know this is not a good example of one to share, but if you do listen to any of the other ones and you like it, please share it with somebody that you love, or somebody that you think likes horror movies, or likes girls yelling about horror movies, or likes girls yelling in some kind of weird sexual way or something. Just send them a link to the YouTube or something. You can find us on YouTube, Stitcher, iTunes, Podcast Addict, and pretty much any podcatcher, so. Or Player FM, actually. I can't remember if I intentionally put myself up on there, or if they just aggregate based on other places, but I found out that we're on, Player FM too, so you can, that's another way to stream it online if you have that service, so. Yeah. Any final words, Sam?
No, bye.
Bye. Bye. Sorry for yelling all the time.